Howdly doodly, internet. It's good to see you. It's been a while, far too long for my taste. But I've been busy. Yeah, just dealing with a lot of stuff. Recently had a loved one have a stroke. On top of that, I've just been, busy in the rat race of building community. Also, just trying to, keep the bills on the roof over their head and whatnot. But yeah, but I have been participating in a great deal of community events. I had missed the one I was supposed to be at this morning. It was like I didn't have enough time to get there in time, and it was like so much other stuff going on. So I was like debating um, which protests I want to participate in. Discover something that was closer, like marches, but um, for the subject matter of what they were protesting, uh, I'm particularly um, affected an understanding of the importance of it. Like one of them, one of the last things I was talking about during the last live was before the Columbia student Mahmoud ended up being deported to Louisiana for showing support or stand organizing against the genocide. Um, just the most common humane position one can arrive at. A lot of people who are never politically engaged. They saw what was happening in Palestine, and how they were just slaughtering men, women, and children for nothing, and something about them internally just disagreed with that. So it was like millions of people coming out in support, especially we talk about worldwide, it's the overwhelming majority of the world is against genocide. You have a Columbia candidate, a student who is here legally, like as a permanent resident, um, getting married, or he was married, and then they were having their first baby. But they're now trying to deport him for exercising free speech, which is what we are supposed to be all about. Uh, it's the First Amendment. First, the most important, numero uno. But we don't have it. It's not like you have a right to a house, you have a right to health care. We don't have a right to any of that basic shit that other countries take for granted. But it's just like we are supposed to have like the ability to speak, the ability to the right to happiness, like the happiness you get when you're starving from not having your other um, stuff taken care of. So you would think that if our whole claim to fame is just the rights that we're supposed to have, like we would actually support them, like we would actually have the right to free speech. That's why I say I'm particularly uh, interested in this respect because I was one of the pioneers in getting censored on social media. It was over a decade ago. At this point, 11 years ago, when I lost my largest channel. Um, I had it censored by something called the Atlantic Council. Um, and it was like they were working with other governments like Saudi Arabia, Israel, the real winners, or what is it? The axis of evil is what they would be called if there were any other country doing what they're doing. But yeah, they were funded by these other governments. They were also funded by our the police unions and all of the all of these nefarious companies that shouldn't exist. These wartime death economies. Um, that's a large reason why my large channel was not just taken down, but subsequently my and even prior to that being taken down, I was shadow banned on their algorithms. So the algorithms used to favor like content, like, the viewability. So I had like, people who never saw any of my shit, they would stay for at least 80% of the video, right? Which is like that was good for the algorithm. It's like, let's just guide people towards this. Then the algorithm started deprioritizing anything that was critical of the status quo. So first people to be censored by um, the Atlantic Council Palestinians, right? Because they got footage of these colonizing forces in Israel going in and stealing land, killing people, right? Um, Now it's like we're supposed to have faith in people like Elon Musk because he saw that they were censoring too much, and then he gave us the right to free speech, the right to free speech. Now it's like stealing our money, and he's like creating his own boundaries on another website and stealing Malcolm X's last name. He's appropriating culture, just like because he's a South African colonizer himself. That's why he loves Israel so much. A lot of the apartheid people who profited off of apartheid, like Elon's family, the Emerald Miners. Once South Africa started having truth and reconciliation, they ended up going to Israel. And then they realized that they can play them victims over there. And if you criticize the exact same shit they were doing in South Africa, they call you an anti-Semite. It's maniacal. And he's a gatekeeper for what can be said and what can't be said. So it is reminiscent. It's a quote. James Baldwin. He was talking about Black history, and well, I'll just let him speak. I work with a few different organizations. One of them is Project Baldwin, and it's like to celebrate the memory of this amazing civil rights activist slash artist slash author, and so many slashes.
Click the link in the bio to get the book.
Modest proposal. White History Week.
True story.
And one of the things, I'm not joking when I talk about White History Week. One of the things that most afflicts this country is that white people don't know who they are, where they come from. That's why you think I'm a problem. I am not the problem. Your history is. And as long as you pretend you don't know your history, you're going to be the prisoner of it. And there's no question you're liberating me, but you can't liberate yourselves. We're in this together. And finally, when white people, quote unquote white people, talk about progress in relation to black people, all they are saying and all they can possibly mean by the word progress is how quickly and how thoroughly I become white. I don't want to become white. I want to grow up, and so should you.
Amen. Now, this is something that some people have issues with. Cause I'm not the biggest fan of Black History Month myself, because black, what person is black? I mean, there are people who are black on the country. They're usually in much hotter climates. I mean, across the planet. But this whole concept of African American history, we're all from Africa, right? All white people need to understand what did the first Europeans look like. First Europeans were black Africans, right? Some of them got lost in these mountains during an ice age. They lost their pigment, and it's like it was some dude wanting to fight me, following me all around, making this simple basic statement. The Chinese, they invested all this money and the tracking where they came from, they realized, oh shit, it just goes back to Africa. That's where we all originate from. And it's just so it's easy for people to be able to see like a crow and like realize that at one point that was a great velociraptor. It's like that those were the dinosaurs that like that's where they evolved to being. And then it's just like they can't imagine themselves like losing pigment and changing eye colors during an ice age. It's like it's like you can see the dinosaur becoming the crow, but you can't imagine getting a little lighter, living in a cave for a few generations, few millennia. And this is really the third time Europeans are being civilized. So it's like you have the Greeks and the Romans. They're like the oldest civilizations that some people choose to recognize. And that's all. Let's get into the racism that's inherent with that shit. Because even like the oldest, the Socrates and the Hippocrates and all these people who are held with such regard in Western civilization, they admit they got everything from Africa. Let's just let's just sidebar that for the time being. But it was just like the Greeks and the Romans, they discovered all of these ancient secrets. They had the Library of Antiquities, which ended up becoming called like the Library of Alexandria, because he's attributed with bringing parts of Africa into the Greeks, and which became the Romans Empire. And it was just they unearthed all these secrets, burnt down the library. It's like we don't want people to have access to these secrets, especially the people who the secrets came from. Like we want to dumb them down. We can't have like an awakened population. Like they burn. Western civilizations, they burn knowledge. That's what all this censorship we're seeing on the internet. That's the modern burning of the Library of Alexander. It's like, let's burn that shit down. Whereas like the Kemetic people, which ended up being known as Egypt, there's really multiple states. So, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Sudan. This was like Greater Kemet, Then we have like the way we view it now is through the lines that Sykes and Picos, two colonizers from Europe, and the way they carved it up, it was to their liking, because they can't have a strong Africa. They can't have any of these continents sticking together. And there's another cat who illustrates this, why this is the case.
When it comes to us, they say, no, you must have borders. Why? The division of Africa is what makes them thrive. They thrive on the division of the African continent. Can you imagine the minerals of DRC combined with the minerals of South Africa and with a new currency based on the minerals? What we can do to the dollar if we become a United States of Africa with our minerals alone? We can collapse the dollar. We can collapse the strong pound that is based on gold, yet they don't have a gold mine. So why do you allow such things? There were no borders, and we must all of us unite in that call. Free movements of peasants, free movements of goods will make this country flourish. They don't have...
And that's why what used to be Kemet is now like 100 different rump states, all in conflict, all in turmoil. You got a bunch of Europeans going over to Africa saying this is where our ancestors came from. And in a way, you're not entirely wrong, because that's where everybody's ancestors came from, right? We're all from Africa. But you didn't keep up with your family during the ice age. It's like when you like went to them caves, and it's just like it got so cold, it got so dark, it started like getting on some Yellow Jackets type shit where it's cannibalism and it's like motherfuckers figuring out how to survive in the dark and all that shit. It's not like you were just like, yeah, I'm keeping track. Yeah, I'm going back to this land, Palestine. No, that this is that once they didn't rediscover that shit until the first Enlightenment, and then they lost all of the stuff they learned. Because the Greeks and Romans, they were just so corrupt. They wanted to keep people stupid, so they lost everything that they accumulated. Went to the Dark Ages for Europe. Then the Moors came and brought civilization to Europe again. Then we had parts of Europe flourish. They had the Renaissance. It was funded by the Moors, especially the Italian Renaissance. The term Guinea was put on these Italians because they were doing a lot of mating with people on the Guinea coast of Africa, right? And it's just so like they started to flourish. Then you have the entitled fucking royalty that was like living in the fucking outskirts of society. They realized that they want to bring back serfdom to all of Europe, and they had to kick out this foreign ideology. So that's when you had your Spanish Inquisitions, your Portuguese Inquisitions, all of the Inquisitions across Europe. And that was to kick out Moorish ideology. Start with the people who look different. That's easy. Then you got to start kicking out their ideas. So a lot of the anti-Semitism that Western civilization has is it's unique to the West, and it started off as just anti-black, it's just like that nigger talk, and then it just evolved. The Inquisitions. It started. It was about 500 years in parts of the world, and it kicked off. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, they funded Columbus. So it's like they saw firsthand what the Moors were capable of. They got some gunpowder from the Chinese. So it's like they got all this stuff from these other civilizations. Then they went and colonized the rest of the world with it, and tried to make everybody else think that they were inferior because a bunch of savages got access to advanced weaponry that other people created. And that's how we have a society run by Nepo babies. We got people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, people who inherited everything. Donald Trump is just like, he got a small loan of a couple $1 million from his dad to get started, and that's the people tell you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And then they're talking about cutting food stamps, cutting healthcare, cutting Social Security, while they get billions of dollars from subsidies. The biggest thieves in the fucking government are going after the poorest people in the world. And that's what Western civilization is. It's never the patent system doesn't benefit actual inventors. It benefits people like Bill Gates, the Nepo babies, people who were trained to understand how to exploit the system, not to contribute anything to society. People are waking up to it. That's like the beautiful thing, because it's some people are have just been asleep. Some people are just like they're.
So the white man is acting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. It's a loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, it's it's funny how exactly the Renaissance is this rebirth, but it's way too rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
So it's like some people are aware. I mean, and it's just like the Nazi movement was designed to give Ashkenazi Jews a bunch of Palestinian land that was signed over to them. Well, like people like the creator of the Zionist movement. Yeah, but it was during the Balfour Declaration. That was 1917. Then the Nazis came to power, and 1948, the United Nations was giving over land. Just basically a bunch of racist ass nations coming together to give a bunch of Palestinian land to a bunch of white settlers because they said this other white guy in Germany did some bad stuff to them. That makes no sense. If you actually wanted justice, you would give them land in Germany, since it was the Germans who attacked them. Why are you giving them the Palestinian land? Who are you to give it away? And and some of the points get touched by Kwame Ture, who was born Stokely Carmichael, in this interview.
They would think about overnight. And right now, they know they couldn't pick up. Mr. Carmichael, my first comment is a historical correction. Last did not build the pyramids, the Jews did. The Jews? That's number one. I beg your pardon? Last did not build the pyramids, the Jews did. That's comment number one. Okay. That's right, Jewish labor. We have to say that. Masters. Continue.
The Jews,
second comment.
the Jews built the pyramids, not the blacks.
Second comment. We let him state it. You want to help him? Come. You can help him. All right, comment number two. Let your brother continue. Comment number two. If you believe that the Zionists control and exploit the people in this country, then you're an anti-Semite. You know you deny it in your book. Stokely Speaks. Okay. Let's take your... Comment number three. Oh, I'm sorry. It's too bad that you align yourself against the national liberation movement of the Jewish people, Zionism. Because by doing that, you align the black people against the Jewish people. They each have national liberation movements, and to align them against each other just is calling for future conflict between them. Okay, let's go to number one. You say the Jews built the pyramids. That's right. Does Africa belong to the Jews or to the Africans? I'm sorry? Does Africa belong to the Jews or to the Africans? To Africa. Thank you. Next question. They built the pyramids, though. Hey, there's no need to discuss that. Africa is my house. Yeah, so whatever is built in my house is mine, isn't it? Fine, but it's built by Jews. Talking about the pyramids. Yeah, even if the Jews built it, who gave them the plans since they were slave laborers? Gave them the plans? Yeah, who gave them the plans? Somebody told them to do it with whips. Right, somebody told them how to do it with whips. The Egyptians. I was talking about the slave labor. I was talking about the mighty planning of the pyramids. Did the Africans do that? Well, then the owner of the factory made the shirts, not the workers, right? Yeah, understood that. Understood. Hold on. Continue. Okay. You should come to the microphone. You're very... But you're impolite. Oh, come on. You're being impolite. That's a Zionist tactic. Come to the microphone. Let's discuss it. Oh. No, I get it. My second comment was referring to your statements about Zionists exploiting people in this country. Correct. I said the Zionists... In your book, Stokely Speaks, you say that the Zionism must be eradicated wherever it's found in the Middle East or the ghettos of the United States. Correct. That's typical Hitlerian propaganda. Typical what kind? Hitler. Adolf Hitler, a Nazi. That's German propaganda. I understand. Well, let me tell you a tactic of Zionism. What they do is that every time you say something, they bring out Hitler. You understand? And they make you feel scared about Hitler. Okay, if Hitler killed as many Jews as he did, then what the Jews should do is take Germany. Why you go to Palestine? The Arabs ain't do nothing to you. Come on. Go to Germany. Germany. Because Germany is not our homeland, Israel is. I'm coming. Egypt is mine. It's Africa. Is that correct? That's right. Why does Israel want to attack? Israel does not want Egypt. Israel doesn't want Egypt. No, it does not. What does it want? Israel wants Israel. Where is Israel? What year was Israel recreated? How did you get it? How? Who gave it to you? Lord Balfour in London in 1916? Was it his? The modern state of Israel was created by the United Nations. He's right. He is absolutely correct. He is absolutely correct. And that shows you what an illegal, immoral, unjust state is. Today, it won't even listen to the rules of the United Nations, which tells it to withdraw from the 1967 borders. That's very interesting, Mr. Carmichael. On one hand, the United Nations is a bunch of bullshit. And you know it. Hey. On one hand, you say that... Please, wait, hold it. No, please. For respect of me, I don't curse publicly. I didn't go through that period. I left it where it belongs. I said it, he didn't. The same roots and the same rights that blacks have to Africa are the same rights that Jews have to Israel. Because they've been living in exile does not mean we've relinquished the right. We still cherish it in our hearts. I understand that. So don't go off calling us aggressors, because we have a right to that land, just as blacks have a right to Africa. I understand. I'm saying that Africa belongs to us. You say it belongs to you too. So no, I don't. Two spaces. I say Africa is yours, but Israel is ours. No. There's a difference. No. Yes, there is. Israel belongs to the Palestinians. For someone who believes in humanity, you certainly haven't shown it to me here. I do believe in humanity. Only black humanity. I believe, but that's humanity. Hey. Not Jewish. Hey. No, it's going to go that way, Stokely, that it's yellow humanity. Hey, come on. Are blacks the only people in the world? No, we're not the only people in the world. Are Jews a people? Huh? Are Jews a people? They call themselves a people, yes. They are a people. Will you wait in line? I've been waiting here.
Let me say
I've
something.
been waiting in line,
Let me say this. Let me say something here. Wait a minute.
It was refreshing to watch him call out some of the Zionist tactics. However, I mean, he ceded a lot of ground to these people. The cowardly shit of saying that the Jews did this, Jews did that. The Jews that he's referencing, I mean, regardless of how you feel about them, none of them were Caucasian. None of them, like the land in Africa, which was once Great Kemet, now it's like it's divided in a way. It's just like so much hostility over this shit because it was a European colonizer free for all when it came to just like stealing all this land, and now it's just like, you know, they feel like the United Nations, it legitimized their rule, legitimized the crimes that took place to get that land. And yeah, but it's just like the colonizers in South Africa, colonizers in Australia, colonizers in Canada, colonizers in America. Now that, you know, like America, like we're focused on like the immigrants that we do not like right now. It's like the brown people, you know, coming from South America. Those are the people we got to be worried about. You know, a lot of deportations. ICE is just hemming people up left and right. When those are the people who, by their own fucking logic, if you want to give the land to the people who who live there, who like whose skin was kissed in a way where it's just like you can recognize like they acclimated to this climate. That would go to the people who are now being deported, right? And if we really want to get serious about ICE, the time to do something about immigration in this country was in 1491. Before that racist ass colonizing sack of shit, Columbus came over here with the mandate of the Spanish Inquisition, Italian Inquisition, all of these racist ass colonizing powers. So it's just like, you know, now that the cat is out of the bag, they want to focus on much less violent immigrants, people who have already proven that they will acclimate to other colonizers. You know, you talk about people from South America, Middle America, or Central America. Middle America is America, but I mean, just really Turtle Island. Let's call it that. Um, but you want to talk about those people like that? Spanish is not their native tongue. Portuguese is not their native tongue. You know, they can acclimate to whatever environment you put them in. Right? You know, they learn more English than we learn Spanish. You know, no one knows their Aztec languages, Olmec, wherever they come from, and it's just like they're viewed as lesser than. But the real violent people who need to be kept out are, you know, the people who are currently running the government. Oh yeah, and this is Stokely Carmichael again getting into uh, further discussion about Zionism.
Protector of imperialism in the Middle East. It carries out the interests of American imperialism. The legal foundation of the State of Israel is what is known as the Balfour Declaration. This declaration was issued in 1917. A man in the government of Britain named Balfour wrote a paper and promised the Jews a national home. The national home he promised them was an area which Britain was colonizing, Palestine. Palestine didn't belong to the British, just like Ireland doesn't belong to the British, even though they have troops there. But here, these British imperialists signed a note and gave it to the Jews, and they accepted it. Where is the morality for this? Design the interest of American imperialism. As a matter of fact, Zionism and American imperialism is like this. If our tax dollars would stop giving money to Israel, the state would sink tomorrow. And certainly no one can deny that American imperialism is the leading imperialist nation in the world. If you say that Israel belongs to you, then you don't go to a thief to get Israel, you go and take it. Once you go to an immoral being such as British imperialism, and this is the basis for you getting the land, then clearly here those who are truly liberation fighters must question this. The basis we say is the Balfour Declaration, and Zionists know it. The Zionism is certainly not a liberation movement, because it never fought against any imperialism. As a matter of fact, today, Zionism is the baby, child, and infant protector of imperialism in the Middle East. It carries out the interests of American imperialism. As a matter of fact, Zionism and American imperialism is like this. If our tax dollars would stop giving money to Israel, the state would sink tomorrow. And certainly no one can deny that American imperialism is the leading imperialist nation in the world. Absolutely. So we cannot see how a liberation movement is so tied, string in hand to American imperialism. They work hand in hand with American imperialism. Thus they can hardly be a liberation movement. In addition to this, Zionism has nothing to do with anything religion. Nothing. All religions are concerned with human beings after they die. That's what religions are for. Islam will tell you what happens to you when you die. As a matter of fact, this which forces you to live a good life so that after death you be able to enjoy the rewards of heaven. The same is true for Judaism. But Zionism says nothing about the individual after they're dead. They don't give a damn about you. Because Zionism has nothing to do with religion at all. And one should not make the confusion here. The Palestinian state belongs to the Palestinian people. This is a fact. So we cannot see how a liberal for resisted. Since we do not make the errors that others do. Anytime you make an analysis of an oppressed people in any aspect of their life and you leave out the enemy, you will never come to a correct analysis. On the contrary, you will blame the oppressed for all of their problems. Therefore, we tell you from the very beginning
We've never taken the line of others that the biggest problem that we have is we ourselves. No, our biggest problem is our enemy, capitalism, and it must be destroyed.
Hallelujah. Just know your enemy. Know your enemy is not your neighbor. And as soon as they start trying to take your enemy out of their assessment of whatever you're doing, that's perfectly describes what's going on in Palestine, Gaza. Like they discuss October 11th. That was their 9/11. It's horrible. It's horrible. We don't talk about the decades of colonization, murdering, mowing the lawn, humiliation, killing, checkpoints. A lot of the police that harassed me when I was, especially in California, they got trained in Israel. They got trained on Palestinians. That's why they're extremely good at being pieces of human garbage. Um, and it's and Stokely Carmichael. Some people aren't familiar with him. Kwame Ture is what he evolved into, but he's a major part of the reason why I knew SNCC had to come back. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. It merged with the Black Panthers, and I got to meet several Black Panthers and SNCC members because like I said, they go hand in hand. But a lot of what his analysis when it comes to things back then still apply to today because like we have not addressed any of the issues that he was talking about. So this shit still resonates. And I would like to be in a place where we've actually done something to ameliorate our situation. And that has not happened yet, which kind of ties into a question I didn't notice until now. Do you have more leeway with what you can say on YouTube now? And the answer, no, probably not. I don't really take the time to post anything on YouTube like that at all. Edited content is especially. I mean, not only did they not monetize, but they would just cut my shit down. So I don't fuck with YouTube at all. It's nothing I watch on there. It's people who I met. I got a lot of respect for. Shama Sawant, she's one of them. She's always talking about her show on YouTube, and I was at an event where they played a few episodes, and I fully support what she's doing, but I can't watch it because it's only on YouTube, and that's a firm no for me. I don't. It's not something I just want to engage with. I'm assuming they had to get a little more lenient since everything was proven to be wrong. Like all of the shit that I said about that code that they were hyping up turned out to be right. And the reason why I lost my fourth channel, I lost first channel 2014. I lost three more channels after the cold hit, and I was just really talking about a drug that they were forcing onto people that they were directly invested in. So it's like a drug that they did not want anyone to scrutinize, and they were directly invested in the profitability of the drug. So if that's not a criminal cartel that needs to be broken up, I don't know what is. Google is evil. Like Google, YouTube started off, it wasn't a Google product. Android started off, it wasn't a Google product. Google is, it's basically cut out of the CIA. They got all this unlimited money. It allows them to buy up everything. So you look at why is no other search engine in the position of Google? Google, like they got their own phones. Before they got into the market, we had more smartphone options. may be hard to believe. I mean, you had your Palm, you had Linux, you had BlackBerry, you had Windows. Now it's just you got two. Well, and two might seem like a lot, but even their competitor is heavily integrated with their software, their spyware. You can't take the battery out. Back it used to be a time when you could swap batteries out. No, you got to have that battery in there all the time because it's reasons outside of your understanding. Um, so it's yeah, Google has not gotten any better, but they probably have to take on new tactics for any credibility. They might allow certain people more ability to say certain things, but yeah, I don't trust it. No part of me. It's just like we need all that shit busted up. Um, bring back the old algorithm that favored good content. Didn't like force you to watch a bunch of corporate garbage. And I can get into like all of the sponsorships that made me like take any criticism of the product out before I got paid. um, and you just talk about like how that impacts our perception of uh, everything. Because just like if you can't be honest, nope. Um, yeah, you're just gonna be misleading more and more people. And yeah, so Google, steer clear. It's not your friend. All right. And oh, and then for some people who are just unfamiliar with Kemet, there's it's the black land of the black soil. It became a lot of it is just it's talked about like Egypt. That's what Kemet was. Egypt was a term that the Greeks had for it. Now, just as it is true that we are closer to the first Cleopatra than she was to the first pharaoh, like closer in time. Like it may seem like a long, long time ago when you look at it from um, the Greco-Roman civilizations, right? It seems like so long ago. But in the grand scheme of things, the Greeks and the Romans were just a blip on the radar. um, uh, Before Kemet was discovered by them, it spent more time being Kemet uh, than Egypt. Um, and the Jews that the European Ashkenazis claim to be stealing land for, they look nothing like the Jews that are in Israel, the Netanyahus, right? Nothing like it. That's why they can't do 23andMe because nothing is going to say, oh, you deserve this land over here. Those are your people. So let's see. It's some little something on a group called the Dogon tribe, descendants of um, the Kemetic people.
If you look at the Dogon tribes, which originally were the inhabitants of ancient Kemet, pre-dynastic era, they achieved the golden age. They had no police. They had no military. They focused on arts and crafts and farming and stars and everything else, right? And they've been holding ancient wisdom and knowledge and passing it on for generations, for thousands of years. And then some people came by and said, oh man, these people they're living in bliss, but they don't have any protection whatsoever. So they just walked right in and kicked them right on out. They ended up being pushed out into Mali, Africa, where they've been for thousands of years. And still to this day, they don't have a police force, they don't have a military, they don't have an army, they don't have a jail, they don't have police officers. They don't need it. They found a way to live in total peace and harmony. So when people tell me that nobody can live in peace and harmony, Look at the Dogon tribe. They should be the blueprint for peace and harmony for the entire planet to go by. If you look at the Dogon tribe.
Yeah, so if there were any actual claims on, the ancient Israel area, which looked completely different than it does now, if there were any legitimate claims on it, they would not look anything like the settlers who are killing and committing genocide right now. You notice those settlers, they look awful lot like the genociders that were killing in America, or the genociders who are killing in Australia. It's just like they update their fucking narrative. It's just like, no, we had a bunch of pilgrims. They were being religiously prosecuted by a bunch of other white people, so they had to go and steal these brown people land. And it's just like, now I feel like um, the Israelis, they have a blueprint. Like, they'll commit a genocide, and then they'll have like a ceremonial acknowledgement of the Palestinians whose land it was before they killed everyone, right? And I think that is the goal of this form of settler colonialism. And I think our purpose is to disrupt all of this shit. I think it starts with nothing even physical. We just gotta like protect our right to free speech. So it's like the Columbia student, Mahmoud, like he's gotta have protection. And while we're at it, let's get some of the OGs, people who were censored decades ago. Like, let's make sure, like, that anybody who was targeted by the Atlantic Council started off with Palestinian social media folks. So, like, let's bring justice for them, for all people. Then we can get to eventually people like myself who experience that shit as well. And but yeah, we definitely need uh, to see these people succeed, because that is, if we don't bring justice for them, like, we won't see justice for anybody. So um, big part of that is actually know your history. Know that anything that they tell you, these fucking colonizing scum, ones who victimize. Oh, and I should. It's a it's a video. It was someone, Sarah Ashton Carrillo or whatever. It was a transgendered person, a transgendered Nazi. I did like a video talking about the transgender Nazi who expects people to respect her pronouns. But she was like calling other people like subhuman mongrels, who are just they're waiting to be enslaved. It's in their DNA. Well, now she became a he, transitioned back to their native pronouns, and it was just like they're talking to what you call it. Uh, it was some podcaster. But yeah, I was just like taken aback. It was uh, uh, anytime you see a white person pretending to be the victim, be wary, right? Like, that's if they like, if you call out like their corrupt sack of shit like behavior, and they'd be like, you can't talk to me like that because you're anti-Semitic, anti-trans, because I'm a transgender Jewish person. It's just like, yeah, I feel like they throw all of these barriers in to just protect themselves from scrutiny. Um, and I say this, I think there's a lot of colored people who do this too. That's why they bring in certain faces. So like they make it so that they're bulletproof when it comes to questioning their motives and uh, all of the evil shit that they're doing. So um, that's one thing. I mean, we got to be better at calling that shit out. because this person Sarah and I'm gonna put together like a longer video, but it is shameful what they were allowed to get away with, and then like to call out their bullshit, like you would be called anti-trans for being anti-Nazi, and all of the Nazis in the Ukraine war. So yeah, so that is um, something to be mindful of, and that is something to look forward to. I'll be posting something on that video, and I'll be doing some more stuff right now. I am still setting up my space, so you can kind of see I got like this little altar situation going on. I got like this other wall, but yeah, I also got like I'm gonna figure all the lighting out because right now this is it's washing me out with all lighting in the back. But this is a temporary situation. But I will get back on doing something like this regularly. Excuse me. Best viewers on stream. Okay, no. Test. What up, Nate? What it do? Hella Nazis in the Ukraine. Well, yeah, now they can kind of say it. Well, I mean, now they have to say it because it's just like none of these institutions have any credibility. None. They all discredit themselves. It's nothing you could do. And people think Trump he's so cool because he cut USAID funding. A lot of the stuff that Trump did, I mean, it needed to get done. I've never have been a fan of what USAID, the overthrowing of the governments that they use their funds to do. But that shit lost all credibility. Like all of these other countries saw whenever USAID started getting involved, there was like that was the beginning of the coup that they were orchestrating. So it's just like Donald Trump doing something that needed to be done for the U.S. government to say they had any legitimacy. Like you have to cut so much, but he's not. It's not like he's putting the money into building community. They're just rebranding the empire, and I feel like a lot of that shit what they're doing with Ukraine is rebranding of the empire. You know, in a way, Ukraine like they definitely served their purpose because I don't think they had any chance to ever do anything to Russia. I think the government, our government, knew that. But you know, we got the same puppet masters. So Ukraine, other way to say that, UK reign, United Kingdom, Britain's, we're all colonies of this power. Um, when you look at what's going on in Israel, that shit was started by UK. Um, look at America, colonized. I mean, you know, by the English. Sorry, it's our language. People say when someone says, "Are you why you don't speak American?" They're talking about English. Why? Um, because we are a colony. We're only supposed to understand what the Queen can say. We're not supposed to understand those filthy Arabs, right? Because if you understood them, you could understand their grievances. That's why. When Osama bin Laden's letter leaked on TikTok, people started just being radicalized because they realized, oh shit, he was calling all of this nonsense out for a while. Um, yeah, but yeah, Ukraine, we couldn't understand what they were saying, but we were made to sympathize with them because they were the blonde hair, blue eyed Europeans, and then Russians are viewed as Asiatic. They're beyond repair. It's just like they're no different than the Chinamen. But yeah, um, but I really think the goal of Ukraine was to cause Russia to stop helping Syria because reason why the Syrian government was able to fight off the imperialists was because of a lot of help from Russia. And then when Russia started to have to focus on their own borders, that's what Ukraine stands for, the borders. That's why it's always called the Ukraine, the borderlands. yeah, when they start focusing on their borderland, that's when the Operation Timber Sycamore succeeded, and then we put in some terrorists in charge of the Syrian government. And just getting back to the history that the Europeans steal, the ancient Syrian government is much older than anything that Europe can produce. Like the Europeans that we know and love, those Anglo-Saxon primarily, the British royal family, the fucking uh, the people who are obsessed with fucking their family to maintain power, um, the nepotism, to inculcate the power further in society, all that shit. Um, Syria is older than anything that they could produce. And that's why they want to overthrow it and get rid of that history, whitewash it. And just like now they're going to be saying that they were saved by these British con men. What you been up to? Man, busy. Um, so I work with multiple organizations, a lot of community organizing. I also build sets for, like different kinds of productions, music, film, theater. I do wardrobe, um, radically threaded. It's the Instagram, and it's going to be um, for just about all of the really cool stuff. You gotta participate in community building for you to get it. So it's like a lot of the clothing is free. Just show up and help the community, and you get some nice stuff. But I'm also going to be setting up like an online shop where um, people who can't participate, maybe want to support from a distance, could do it. But yeah, just I wear a lot of hats, literally and figuratively. So you know how we go. But yeah, I did not realize I've been over an hour, and my bladder is ready to expel some liquids. So I think I'm gonna tap in with you guys a little bit later. But it was dope to reconnect. It was sad I couldn't make it to today's events, but it was so much to do. I'm inspired by the fact that there's so much organizing taking place. All right, and thank you for showing up to the stream. I appreciate you. And whatever you do, just fight the power, fight the powers that be. Let me hear you say, fight the power. I am a revolutionary.